Mary Maloney was waiting for her husband to come in from work. When the clock said 10 minutes to 5, she began to listen, and a few moments later, punctually as always, she heard the key turning in the lock. She went forward to kiss him as he came in.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
She made the drinks, a strongish one for him and a weak one for her. She knew he didn't want to speak much until the first drink was finished, and she, on her side, was content to sit quietly, enjoying his company after the long hours alone in the house. She loved him so much.
Tired, darling.
Yes, I'm tired.
And as he spoke, he did an unusual thing. She lifted his glass and drained it in one swallow, although there was still half of it, at least half of it left. She knew what he had done because she heard the ice cubes falling back against the bottom of the empty glass when he lowered his arm.
I'll get it.
Sit down.
Darling, shall I get your slippers?
No.
I think it's a shame that when a policeman gets to be as senior as you, they keep him walking about on his feet all day long.
He didn't answer anything.
Darling, would you like me to get you some cheese? I haven't made any supper because it's Thursday.
No.
If you're too tired to eat out, it's still not too late. There's plenty of meat and stuff in the freezer, and you can have it right here and not even move out of the chair.
Her eyes waiting on him for an answer, but he made no sign.
Anyway, I'll get you some cheese and crackers first.
I don't want it.
But you must eat. I'll fix it anyway, and then you can have it or not, as you like.
Sit down. Just for a minute. Sit down.
She lowered herself back slowly into the chair.
This is going to be a bit of a shock to you, I'm afraid. But I've thought about it a good idea. And I've decided the only thing to do is tell you right away. I hope you won't blame me too much. So that it is. And I know it's kind of a bad time to be telling you, but that or simple wasn't any other way. Of course, I will give you money and see you're looked after. But there needn't really be any fuss. I hope not anyway. I wouldn't be very good for my job.
Her first instinct was not to believe any of it, to reject it all.
I'll get the supper.
She couldn't feel anything at all. Everything was automatic now down the steps to the cellar, the light switch, the deep freeze, the hand inside the cabinet taking hold of the first object it met. She lifted it out and looked at it. It was wrapped in paper, so she took off the paper and looked at it again. She carried it upstairs, holding the thin bone end of it with both of her hands. And as she went through the living room, she saw him standing over by the window, with his back to her, and she stopped.
For God's sake, don't make supper for me. I'm going out.
Mary Maloney simply walked up behind him, and without any pause, she swung the big frozen leg of lamb high in the air and brought it down as hard as she could on the back of his head. Then he crashed to the carpet.
All right, so I've killed him. Hello, Sam.
Hi, good evening, Mrs. Maloney. How are you?
I want some potatoes, please, Sam. Yes, and I think a can of peace.
Then, how about meat, Mrs. Malone?
No, I've got some meat, thanks. I got a nice leg of lamb from the freezer.
Oh,
I don't know much like cooking meat freezers, Sam, but I'm taking a chance on this time. You think it will be alright?
personality. I don't believe it makes any difference. You want these Idaho potatoes?
Oh, yes, that will be fine. 2 of those.
How about afterwards? What are you going to give him of afterwards?
Well, what would you suggest, Sam?
How about a nice big slice of cheesecake? I know he likes that.
He loves it.
And when it was all wrapped and she had paid, she put on her brightest smile and said,
Thank you, Sam. Good night.
Good night and thank you.
Do everything right and natural. Keep things absolutely natural, and there will be no need for any acting at all. Therefore, when she entered the house by the back door, she was humming a little tune to herself and smiling.
Patrick, how are you, darling?
A few minutes later, she got up and went to the phone. She knew the number of the policeman station, and when the man at the other end answered, she cried to him,
Quick, come quick. Patrick is dead.
Who's speaking?
Mrs. Maloney, Mrs. Patrick Maloney.
You mean Patrick Malone is dead?
I think so. He's laying on the floor and I think he's dead.
Be right over.
Is he dead?
I'm afraid he is. What happened?
She told her a story about going out to the grocer and coming back to find him on the floor. While she was talking, crying and talking, Nona discovered a small patch of congealed blood on the dead man's head. He showed it to O'Malley, who got up at once and hurried to the phone. She told her story again, this time right from the beginning, when Patrick had come in, and she was sewing, and he was tired, so tired he hadn't want to go out for supper. She told how she'd put the meat in the oven, and how she'd slopped out to the grocer for vegetables, and come back to find him laying on the floor. The detective was looking for the weapon.
Do you know if there is anything in the house that could have been used as the weapon? Would you mind if we have a look around to see if anything has missing a very big spanning, for example, or a have metal vase?
I don't have any metal vase. Oh dear me, so it is.
I better turn it off for you, hadn't I?
Will you do that for me? Thank you so much.
The search went on.
You know that oven of ours is still on, and the meat still side.
Well, here you all are, and good friends of dear Patrick's too, and helping to catch the man who killed him. You must be terribly hungry by now because it's long past your supper time, and I know Patrick would never forgive me. God bless his soul. If I allowed you to remain in his house without offering you decent hospitality, why don't you eat up that lamb that is in the oven? It will be cooked just right by now.
Oh, yes.
There was a good deal of hesitating among the 4 policemen, but they were clearly hungry, and in the end they were persuaded to go into the kitchen and help themselves. The woman stayed where she was, listening to them speaking among themselves, their voices thick and sloppy because their mouths were full of meat. He was thinking about the weapon and then concluded that it probably were right under his nose.